The wind howled through the jagged peaks of the isolated mountain, carrying a faint, ominous rustle through the trees. A shadow moved, barely visible as the loyal German shepherd's ears pricked, body tense, muscles coiled like springs. Its deep, guttural growl cut through the silence, eyes scanning the darkness with an almost human understanding of the danger approaching. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong, something deadly. The dog's fur bristled and a low, warning bark echoed into the night, slicing the stillness. Who, or what, had dared cross into their mountain, and would they survive the fury about to be unleashed? High in the remote, rugged peaks of the mountain, life had once been quiet, almost painfully serene, for the ex-seal who had retreated from the chaos of the world below, seeking peace, solitude, and the companionship of his loyal dogs. The mountain air was crisp and fragrant with pine, the sun spilling golden light over jagged cliffs and hidden valleys, yet it carried a stillness that was both comforting and isolating. His days began before dawn, boots crunching over frost-hardened ground, the sound mingling with the soft patting of paws on stone as his German shepherds, broad-shouldered and sleek, moved alongside him with unwavering focus. Each dog had its own personality, one fierce and alert, eyes scanning the horizon for threats, another calm and almost human in empathy, sensing moods before they were expressed, a third with boundless energy, bouncing through the underbrush but always returning when called. Together they tended to the small homestead he had carved from the mountain's heart, fixing fences, checking traps, and moving silently through the forest trails, a rhythm that had become second nature. The bond between them was beyond companionship, it was survival, trust woven into every glance, every nudge of a nose, every moment when a hand met a paw. Even in quiet moments he felt it, the subtle nudges against his leg, the warm press of a muzzle on his hand as if to say, "We're here together always." Yet recently tiny signs began to unsettle the routine. The dogs would freeze, ears twitching at sounds too faint for human perception, shadows flickering at the edge of their vision, the wind carrying whispers that seemed almost purposeful. Broken branches, disturbed underbrush, and the faint smell of strangers had started to creep into their haven. At night, the ex-seal would sit by the cabin, listening to the dog's low, uneasy growls, the deep vibrations warning of intruders long before he sensed them himself, and an unshakable tension began to coil in the air, tightening around the mountain like a predator circling its prey. Life remained peaceful for now, yet the balance had shifted imperceptibly. Danger was approaching, unseen, and the bond between man and dogs, forged through trust and survival, was about to be tested like never before. The mountain, once serene, began to shift under an invisible weight, the quiet broken by snapping twigs, rustling leaves, and shadows that moved too quickly and too deliberately to be wildlife. The dogs were the first to notice, their muscles tensing, ears pricked, eyes scanning every ridge and hollow, noses twitching at scents that hinted at human intrusion. Each day, as the sun rose and filtered through the towering pines, subtle disturbances marked the approach of something malevolent. Fresh footprints pressed into soft soil, broken branches arranged as if to mark a path, the faint metallic tang of traps left carelessly by intruders. The ex-seal moved through these signs with a wary calm, his trained eyes detecting patterns most would overlook, while his dogs mirrored his unease, shadowing him, growling low at corners of the forest where nothing appeared to lurk, their instincts screaming that danger was near. Nights became restless, the wind carrying whispers that twisted into eerily human sounds, the howl of distant coyotes punctuated by the dog's sudden sharp barks that cut through the darkness like warning shots. The tension built relentlessly, each evening a slow, tightening coil of fear as unseen intruders tested the boundaries of their domain, the dog's vigilance unceasing, bodies coiled, ready to strike, growls vibrating through the cabin walls as if vibrating straight into the bones of the intruders themselves. In one fleeting instant, a shadow flitted across the ridge above the cabin, the dogs erupting into a cacophony of barks, teeth bared, eyes glowing in the moonlight, forcing the intruders to vanish into the trees, leaving nothing but a trail of disturbed snow and a chilling sense that the mountain itself was watching, waiting. The ex-seal's pulse raced, the calm of his retreat fractured, yet he trusted the dogs implicitly, knowing they would sense what he could not, alerting him to threats invisible to human perception. Each day brought new signs, new confrontations with the unknown, the suspense building like the tightening of a drum before an unseen explosion, leaving the question hanging in the frozen air. Would the intruders make a fatal mistake tonight, or would the mountain claim its first casualty? The night erupted into chaos as the intruders, emboldened and unaware of the mountain's silent guardians, pushed deeper into the cabin's perimeter, their whispers sharp with greed and malice only to be met Instantly by the dog's thunderous, coordinated response. The German shepherds lunged through shadows, teeth bared, claws scraping against stone and wood, their barks cutting like gunfire, eyes blazing with an almost supernatural awareness of every move the humans made, anticipating threats before the ex-seal could react, herding and cornering the trespassers with a precision born of instinct and loyalty, their growls resonating through the frozen air, vibrating into the intruders' bones and shattering their confidence. In the thick of the storm of fur, teeth, and flying debris, the ex-seal moved like a shadow himself, directing the dogs with subtle gestures, his body tense but controlled, the culmination of years of training and survival instincts converging in perfect synchrony with his canine companions. One intruder stumbled, a rifle clattering across the rocks, the echo bouncing off the mountain walls like a warning bell, and the dogs pressed their advantage, forcing the group to a narrow ridge where there was no escape, their coordinated attacks relentless, fearless, and unyielding, every bark, every snap, every flash of teeth a declaration that this mountain would not be violated. The intruders' fear was palpable, thick enough to choke the night air, their plans collapsing under the unbreakable bond between man and dogs, the ex-seal's calm presence grounding the chaos while the dogs executed their defense with surgical precision, relentless determination, and raw courage that defied human understanding. And then, in a moment of perfect clarity and deadly grace, the lead dog pinned the last intruder, eyes locked, growl vibrating through the bones of the man, a silent command that sealed the fate of anyone daring enough to threaten their home, the mountain and its guardians, leaving the ex-seal standing over the silent, trembling intruders, the wind whipping past as if echoing the verdict, and the dogs, proud and unyielding, stared up at him, unwavering, their loyalty and courage radiating in the pale moonlight, a living testament to the fact that on this mountain, in this wilderness, they were the hunters, the protectors, the unstoppable force, and nothing would ever cross them again. The first light of dawn broke over the jagged peaks, spilling soft gold across the snow-dusted slopes, and the mountain, once tense and restless, seemed to breathe a quiet sigh of relief as the storm of the night's violence finally faded. The intruders were gone, either driven away or broken by the relentless guardianship of the dogs, leaving the ex-seal to take stock of the aftermath, surveying the cabin and surrounding trails with a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and unspoken pride, the weight of what had been survived pressing into his bones while the dogs moved among the wreckage, sniffing every corner, nudging his hand and pressing close with warmth and reassurance as if to say, "It's over. We're together." Wounds, both minor and hidden, were tended with practiced care, each bandage and quiet touch reinforcing the unbreakable trust between man and animal, the dogs' eyes reflecting both the intensity of the night and the calm of a battle won, their breaths steady now, bodies relaxing but still alert, attuned to every sound of the forest, ever ready. The ex-seal walked the perimeter slowly, feeling the weight of solitude lifted, replaced by a profound recognition of the loyalty that had carried them through the terror, the unspoken bond that no human intrusion, no greed, and no danger could ever sever, the dog's presence a constant heartbeat against his own, steadying him, grounding him in the reality of love and courage. Memories of the night lingered, sharp and vivid, but in those moments of stillness, he realized that the fear had been transformed into respect, vigilance had become a shared rhythm, and the mountain was no longer just a refuge, it was home, guarded by hearts bound in loyalty and bravery. As the sun climbed higher, warming the frozen peaks, the dogs circled him, tails sweeping snow, eyes bright with life and unyielding devotion, and in that quiet triumph, he understood the lesson the mountain and the night had imparted. Courage is measured not only in acts of battle but in the steadfast love and loyalty shared with those who stand beside us, unwavering through every shadow, every danger, and every trial, and that true heroism is found in the bond that endures, unbroken, between human and dog.